good? How y'all doing this evening?
What's happening?
Welcome to the FILA Sports Podcast. That is the Forever I Love Atlanta Sports Podcast. It's our Wednesday night edition, which means we're talking college football rivalry week. We all know what the big game is this weekend. Let's get right into it. It's your boy, Coach Mario, and my co-host, the man known as Don. What's going on, Don?
What's good, man? How y'all doing this evening? We back again tonight. We're talking about the SEC championship game, Georgia Bulldogs versus LSU Tigers. I'm glad y'all could join us this evening. Like we said, we're talking about SEC championship game. So, hey, if you're new to the channel, you already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this content out for other Georgia college sports fanatics, and hit us up in the comment section. As always,
come holla
at your hometown sports podcast. All right, we got some guests on tonight with us. Let me start off with Billy.
Really don't need introductions.
Well, yeah. But start off with Billy. How you doing, Billy? Tell them who you are, what you do.
Hi guys, Billy Gomila, managing editor in thevalleyshook.com. I've been covering LSU sports for 15 plus years now, and run the site for about 10.
All right, good. All right, and then we have TJ, LSU dad, on with us. What's good, man?
What's happening, man? What's happening? Happy to be with you guys tonight. And I'm just a big mouth on YouTube, man. That's it. That's it.
Anybody who's familiar with really football in the South, LSU, Saints, Falcons, definitely have come across TJ's tweets. Definitely.
Unfortunately.
Well, I guess depend on. Like I said, we'll get on that. We'll touch on that part. And one more person, a member of our. Yeah, go ahead, Don.
About Georgia Sports Hospitality Media Group, I-20 Eric. How you doing, man?
All right, go Dogs.
All right.
Woo, woo, woo.
All right. So, glad y'all can join us tonight. So we're gonna go ahead and run down the scores in college football for the week, and we'll get into it.
Yep. Not many games on the schedule last week. We all know clean old-fashioned hate. We had Georgia and Georgia Tech. UGA prevailed in that one 52-7. And Georgia State and Georgia Southern renewed their I wouldn't even say. Well, I guess it is a new rivalry, right, Don? A new rivalry in football.
Modern hate. Yes.
And Georgia Southern, I thought it'd be a more competitive game, but Georgia Southern ran away with it 38-10. Both teams in the season at 7-5, and both teams looks to go bowling probably in mid-December bowl for both of them. Valdosta State won't be repeating as Division III champions this year. They were knocked off by West Florida 38-35. If y'all remember early in the season, about week 6 or week 7, they played them. That was a 20-15 game. It was their lowest game of the year. West Florida is their biggest competition. I expect West Florida probably will go ahead and win the championship for Division III now. But Valdosta State still ran off 28 straight victories. Awesome season, heartbreaking for the kids, but they'll come back strong next year. They actually return a lot off that team. And Kennesaw State in the FCS playoffs got a win over Wofford, 28-21. Saturday they advanced to round 2. They take on Weber State. That's 3 p.m. on ESPN3. That's going to be a very tough matchup. Weber State plays awesome defense, and we know Kennesaw State runs the heck out of the football. I'm actually interested to see that one. I'll be watching it until 4 p.m. Because at 4 p.m. on Saturday, unless you've been under a rock, 4 p.m. Eastern time, that's, Georgia time, Atlanta time, at 4 p.m. in Atlanta.
It's dinner time. It's eat time is what time it is.
The SEC championship game comes on, and we all know it's LSU versus UGA from the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta, where they hold important sporting events. Atlanta. But no, seriously, guys. So let's jump right into it. We're just gonna get right into it. It's LSU versus Georgia. It's offense versus defense. Who wins the battle? I personally think, I'll start it off. Georgia has to keep.
Go ahead. Start it off, and I will give everybody a turn, and I'll call out everybody whose turn is it. So,
Georgia had to keep the game in the 20s. Georgia had to keep the game in the 20s. Georgia can't get down by more than 10 points. Georgia has to stay within 10 where they're able to still run the ball. If Georgia gets down 14 to 17 points, it's going to get ugly. So that's my thing in a nutshell. Georgia has to keep it in the 20s. If it gets to the 30s or the 40s, I don't think Georgia has much of a chance.
All right. Billy?
I think that's going to be pretty tough. Just the way this LSU offense has been able to move and just the way they've been able to attack people a lot of different ways. I think they can. This is, I think, a tough matchup for Georgia in terms of how they match up with LSU and specifically what LSU does well.
Okay. Let me do Eric.
I don't see either team getting out of the 30s in this game. I don't see the game getting out of the mid-20s at all. Georgia has the number one scoring defense in the nation. They actually have the pieces to compete with LSU. People want to talk about the speed of LSU's offense, but LSU has not seen the speed of a defense that Georgia has. Georgia, they haven't seen a defense with the depth that Georgia's defense has. Georgia uses 5-6 different packages on defense. Like they play defense like a lot of people play offense. So anything that LSU can roll out, Georgia has a package to counter it. It's going to be a game between the two coaches more than it's really a game between anything else, because Georgia has the speed that LSU is known for on offense on their defense. So I think it's actually going to come down to, can LSU stop Georgia's offense and make the defense stay on the field and tire them out rather than the other way around.
Okay.
What you think, TJ?
TJ, your turn.
I obviously disagree with the gentleman respectfully. He says that LSU hasn't seen speed or depth like that, and they see it every day. They practice against it every day. LSU has multiples of everything. And what's going to catch up to Georgia is the same thing that has caught up to Georgia all year. They lack creativity on offense. And you're only going to get so far with 6 plays and a fake punt. So I'm not expecting this thing to be close at all. I think it's going to look almost identical to the way it looked the last time these two teams faced each other. Georgia hasn't faced anything like LSU. Georgia hasn't seen anything remotely like LSU. So I understand you guys root for Georgia, but I study Georgia. And I just don't see – I see this thing getting out of control in the third quarter. 4 minutes in the third quarter, the game is over.
All right. Well, look, I'm gonna say this. I think the highest score is gonna be. It's not gonna, like I said, y'all say it's not gonna get out of the 30s. I-20 Eric said that. I agree with I-20 Eric, and I'm not a Georgia fan, by the way. Just not. I'm a Michigan fan, but I support Georgia schools.
I know, laugh at him, TJ. It's okay to laugh at him, TJ.
And I hate John Harbaugh too as well. So yes, I'm a realist Michigan fan. So I know we suck. So I respect it. So, but anyway, but like I said, I think this is gonna be a low scoring game. Like I said, Georgia has the third best defense in the country right now. So and then everybody know about football, defense win games. So, all right.
I disagree, but go ahead.
uh, I think that we're all hitting on good points because, like I say, I do think that obviously Georgia. Nobody's seen an offensive attack like LSU has this year, and obviously LSU has seen some good defenses. LSU, they have good players on their defense, and obviously they're LSU, they have athletes, but they haven't played a defense as good as UGA's this year. I think we're all right. I think if, like TJ says, if it gets to that point in the third quarter where LSU goes up, 2.5 scores, yeah, it's over. I believe, what Eric. This is the thing. Will Swift play and will he play effectively? Because Georgia has to run the ball. We have to run the ball because we have to keep Burrow on the sideline. If we're able to do that, if we're running the ball like that, we're not going to be scoring 40 points because, that's not Kirby's MO. That's not what he wants to do. He wants to control the clock and keep Burrow on the sideline. So I think we're all correct. Just what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask Billy because data standpoint, statistics. Billy, have you ever, as long as you've been covering LSU, you're a fan just like I am, have you ever seen an LSU team that looks like this one?
Before you answer that, Billy, give me 1 second. I gotta control the toggles. Go ahead, you can talk now.
Okay. No, not in terms of the way that this offense can attack you and the different ways that it can attack you. To me, Georgia's only real chance is if they can get after Joe Burrow consistently, and that's just not something. This isn't a Georgia team that gets a ton of sacks on the year, and if you can't do that, this offense has shown that it can, kind of dink and dunk and throw short and run the ball and kind of chip away at defenses. Or if you're going to roll your corners up and play man-to-man, they'll just go over the top of you. Teams have kind of tried a little bit of everything, and this offense has been able to do kind of whatever works for the situation. At one point this year, we saw a lot of teams try to, kind of almost like Tampa 2 them to death by like keeping the safeties back and, okay, let's see if you can settle for stuff and work your way down the field methodically. And we've seen Clyde Edwards-Helaire really pick up and start, ripping off big runs and them using him in the passing game for, 4 or 5 yards of pop on just little short checkdowns. And so to me, this is an offense that I think you can try to contain it, but I don't think you're going to stop it. And I don't think Georgia's kind of built to stop it, really.
Yeah. All right. Eric, your rebuttal?
I don't believe that at all. Texas A&M showed they didn't have the personnel to run their game plan, but their game plan can be run by Georgia and better. When LSU motions out to an empty backfield, Texas A&M rushed 3 and dropped 8 a lot of the times, with one of the 8 actually being a spy. Georgia's actually done a lot of that this year. What killed Texas A&M was their ends kept taking inside moves and giving Joe Burrow the ability to run out of the pocket. See, you don't rush Joe Burrow. If you actually blitz Joe Burrow will beat you. What you do is you set the edge, make him step up into the pocket, into that spy, and make him run 4 or 5 yards a pop rather than killing you. You let him out of the pocket and scramble rules start. You give him the ability to find somebody downfield. So Texas A&M kind of put it on tape how you can bottle up that portion of their offense. Now, when it comes to rushing, Georgia has the number 1 rush defense in the nation. They only allow 71 yards rushing a game. So when it comes to actually putting your base offense out there and our base defense, like, I have every bit of faith in Georgia to shut down a running attack. I'm not sitting here saying that we're going to shut down their offense, so don't get me wrong. I just don't believe it's going to be as explosive as a lot of people think. Georgia has the number 1 defense in explosive play percentage in the nation. We have only allowed 16, I think last time I checked, it was 16 explosive plays all year. We've only allowed 12 touchdowns all year. We have the number 1 red zone defense. So even if you want to go ahead and nickel and dime us all the way down the field, once you get in the red zone, you're kicking field goals. LSU is going to have to get 80, 90-yard touchdowns, catch Richard LeCount with his eyes in the backfield, with play action, stuff like that. I don't see them going all the way down the field and scoring constantly on this defense because nobody's been able to do that all year. Now, I know LSU is a different animal, but I just don't see them. They're going to have to get deep shots on them. They're not just going to nickel and dime it all the way down the field.
Okay.
I'm gonna go in the chat real quick, and then I'm gonna pick it up. Thanks for joining us, Pigskin Junkie. Billy Pigskin Junkie says you like a poor man's Sean Payton.
Well,
he said you.
Well, I'm definitely a lot poorer than him. So,
well, this camera right now, your camera frozen right now, Billy. But I like how your shirt right now is sitting. Because it's missing the S. It just has ain't.
It says ain't. Yeah.
I had to throw that in there. I had to throw it in there.
You know, not like y'all would know.
Yeah. And JF said he's been excited for this stream because it should be a good game, and TJ is hilarious. I tell you. Yeah, I don't know if you know, TJ. Like I said, you're infamous in Twitter, in UGA and Falcons Twitter. Hey,
and varies other topics too.
I got a lot of good buddies with Atlanta and Georgia, man. A lot of good friends.
Yeah. And Sergeant AR10 joined us. He said Georgia Bulldogs, and he said, "What's up, TJ?" DGB joined us. DVOA squad. And JF said he thinks this game is not going to be a big LSU versus the top-ranked Georgia D. He thinks this game will come down to Georgia's run game versus LSU's run defense. And that Georgia boy said UGA's offense has him a little nervous. He thinks the defense will keep him in it. He hopes.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
What's up, Joseph? Pigskin Junkie said LSU's cornerbacks are far better than Georgia's wide receivers. Dog's gonna have trouble scoring threes, and they're gonna man up too. We know what their corners go do. I mean, why wouldn't you man up against Georgia? That's what we're gonna do. And Pigskin Junkie, he already given predictions. Whoa. 34-20. We don't get that part to the end, Pigskin Junkie. But he said Tigers 34-20. And Sergeant AR said LSU got run all over by Ole Miss. Have y'all forgot that Georgia can run the ball? We're going to talk about that in a second. I'm about to go there in a second. I'm about to go to the running game right now. And Georgia's having all kinds of weapons. They just haven't executed. Yeah, well, if your weapons aren't firing, they're faulty. And okay, so this is my thing, the running game. Not necessarily running game, Eric, but I gotta admit, Edwards-Helaire scares the hell out of me, man. That kid is amazing, man. That kid is amazing, and not necessarily to run the ball, just his ability to turn 3rd and 4, get hit for 1 yard, and still manage to get through. Man, that kid is amazing at just diving forward for a couple more yards. Like, he scares the hell out of me, Eric. And the same thing, Eric. We know, like I said, Swift is gonna play. Is gonna play effectively. What do all you guys think about that? Let's start. Let's start with you, Billy. Edwards-Helaire and Swift.
Well, Swift's a heck of a player. The big thing to me with there's a lot of I guess misperceptions about LSU's run defense, and for pretty much all the year, it was one of the better ones in the country. The Ole Miss game has kind of skewed things, and Ole Miss Georgia doesn't really do the same things that Ole Miss does. Georgia's not going to spread the field and use the quarterback to kind of draw some guys away and create different gaps. They're kind of much more straight ahead. I think it's more analogous to what we saw last week against A&M, which LSU had a lot easier of a time with that because they could just roll the safeties down. LSU safeties are kind of oversized linebackers anyway, so they're a little bit better versus a more conventional offense because they can just roll them down into the box. And a team like Georgia that doesn't, throw to slot receivers as much, doesn't throw to its tight ends as much, isn't going to stress them the way a team like Alabama did, or the way that like even Florida, because Florida could split their tight end out, throw it to him a little bit, and was able to make some hay doing that kind of stuff. That's not really what Georgia's offense has been this year. You know, they kind of want to be able to run the ball, run play action, you know, just go straight downhill on people. And LSU's had a lot of success against teams with that kind of a running style, even against, you know, Auburn, which, you know, had a pretty good rushing attack this year. I think they had over 100 yards, but they had 80 of them on one run. And outside of that, they really couldn't find any room. You know, what Ole Miss did, I don't know that it's replicable for everybody else that plays them.
Yeah, because, you know, I mean, we know Fromm is not going to run like Plumlee did, right?
Yeah, ain't nobody got a quarterback that fast, man.
Nobody.
Not even in the NFL. Nobody.
That kid can move, can't he?
All right, Eric, you'll go.
I disagree with
Billy.
Georgia does a lot of what Mississippi does. Mississippi hurt LSU with Ely with inside zone, which is Georgia's, like, that's Georgia's MO. That's what Georgia does. I was watching tape. Somebody was breaking down the
I said it was more wide zone than inside zone.
Yeah, and it was only half. Yeah, they shut that down in the second half, though.
And that's what allowed
what I'm saying, though,
is too.
What I'm saying is LSU showed it was hard for them to get off blocks against inside zone. Also, Georgia's offensive line is 10 times what Ole Miss has. Georgia's line is one of the best in the SEC. Georgia's rushing attack is one of the best in the nation. I lost my train of thought there for a second. Their running back, like, I completely forgot his name.
It was Hilaire.
Yeah, he bothers me. I've seen him, like, anybody that sits here and goes, well, we're just going to shut. No, you're not going to just shut him down. What makes me feel better about our defense, though, something I'm seeing that other defenses don't do. Georgia swarms to the ball. So, like, yeah, he scares me because of his moves, but it always seems like there's another defender there if the first one does miss a tackle. And that makes me feel better about Edwards-Hilaire. The other thing is Swift, even if Swift isn't 100%, which I believe he's going to be, because from what I'm hearing, from what Kirby said, the reason why Swift came out of the Georgia Tech game wasn't because he got hurt on that play. He actually was playing with the injury. He got hurt earlier in the game, and he just couldn't take the pain of getting hit on it anymore. But if you look at Ely and you look at James Cook, I think they have very similar skill sets. So, and not to take anything away from Brian Herrien, I'm just saying if you look at Ely and the way he hurt LSU, I believe James Cook can the same way if Swift can't go. So, the reason why I was bringing up the offensive line is not to say anything about Swift or Herrien or Zeus or Cook, but the stars of our running game is the offensive line, not exactly the running backs. So they're going to have to, if you ask me, in that battle right there, take everything else away, to me, the line of scrimmage when it comes to Georgia's offense, we have the much bigger advantage.
What do you think about the two different backs matchup, TJ?
TJ turn.
You know, Clyde Edwards-Hilaire obviously was a huge surprise for a lot of people. Not necessarily for me, because I always knew he was the future of LSU running backs. You know, and I started with a kid, you know, in a spring game a couple of years ago, and I started saying, this is the future. Of course, you know, he had to wait his turn. But what concerns me about Swift is, and I joke about it a lot, man, is running to the left side of that. But they're running behind one of the best offensive linemen in the country. I mean, let's just be honest. If you got a big monster like Thomas over there, I would run behind him too. You know what I'm saying? It's what he's able to do, man. This kid's skill set, he's a first round top 3 guy. So that's why I'm noticing a lot of that stuff is going that way, because that's what the holes are. You know, these guys making driveway size holes on that field. You would have to go that way. So, but both of these running backs, man, both of these guys can put a team on their back and carry. You know, what's concerning me about Georgia and what I'm paying more attention to than a running game is actually the wide receivers, believe it or not. Because when I study Georgia wide receivers, what I'm noticing, what I'm seeing is that they are beating guys by 5 yards sometimes, but the ball is overthrown by 5. So, if Fromm confidence is hitting early, that's going to be our problem. And fortunately, it takes Fromm too long to get his confidence going and get a rhythm going. And by the time that happens, the game is over. That's always been the identity of Georgia. It takes them too long to get it going. But if by chance, let me say this, not when they're playing lesser opponents. When they're playing lesser opponents, dude comes out throwing it like Dan Marino everywhere. But it's when it's a equal opponent or someone that they feel is a real threat. That's when I think it takes Georgia too long to get going. But my concern really is the wide receivers, really.
Now,
hold on. I want to point this out real quick. So I'm looking at Football Outsiders. I'm looking at the standard downs. Yeah, the standard downs lines yard per carry. Right now in the nation, Georgia's ranked 3rd. Guess who's ranked 4th?
Tulsa.
No, LSU, man.
I was joking, bro.
All right. LSU is because right now standard downs line yards is 308, and LSU is 3.06. So I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, you can really throw all of those stats out there.
Go ahead, TJ. I already know you about to say.
I understand you guys have accumulated all of the stats, bro, and done all of this homework, and it's beautiful that you have, but like Peebo Bryson used to say, it's a whole new world, man. It's a whole new world. What you're gonna need is
look, man. I know about some Peebo Bryson, man, but everybody else don't.
Georgia has never seen it. They've never gone up against anything like this. Georgia would have to actually play the New England Patriots or the Saints to get any idea of what they're going to face this week. I'm just saying.
Hold on.
So you're telling
hold on, Eric. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, let's get it started, man.
So you're telling me in all the years that Kirby, Daniel Lanning, Schumer, all the years these guys have watched football, played football, coached football, this is the first time any of these guys are ever coming to see these passing concepts? Like, this is my problem with LSU fans. This is not new.
Raise your hand if you lost to South Carolina.
New.
It worked last year. It didn't stop last year.
All right, now how about this? Let's use what TJ said a second ago to transition into this, Eric, because you put this on the notes. He brought up that Georgia offense starts slow, but we have seen Fromm come out firing in the big game because, it's just like the consensus that, Matt Ryan played bad in the Super Bowl. He didn't. Jake Fromm played bad in the national championship game. He didn't. Jake Fromm played bad in the SEC championship last year against Alabama. He didn't.
But casual fans, they just if a team lose, they go blame it on the quarterback. They're just casual fans. Those people who don't know nothing about football. So
in all 3 of those games that I just referenced, we took our foot off the gas. The quarterback didn't play bad. So
then why did you get fooled against Kentucky though? Why were your fans? Your fans, because see, the thing about Georgia, you guys got the memories of goldfish when it comes to this football team. Why were your fans? Why did you boo your own football team?
Because they kept going run, pass.
They were booing the team. They were booing the play calling, TJ. They weren't booing the guys.
Okay, elaborate. Keep going.
They were blowing Coley. They were blowing Coley. They were blowing the run. They were blowing the unaggressiveness on the offense. They weren't booing the player.
So those coaches that they booed during the Kentucky game, are they still employed with Georgia?
Yeah, they're going to be in the SEC championship game.
Oh, okay. So
that's where they're going to be at.
The same coaches that they booed during Kentucky.
We're going to see the same coaches that were in the national championship and a game away from the national championship last year.
To see because you are who you are.
Was James Coley calling plays then?
No, he was a wide receivers coach last year. You know that. I know, Billy. You know that.
He was the coach. He was the coach.
I'm pretty sure that was a different play caller, actually.
Yeah. So Eric, what do you think though? Fromm has shown the propensity to come out in the big game. So we're gonna see big game from Saturday, Eric.
I believe it. The same team that's around him now, minus Lawrence Cager and George Pickens in the first half, is the same team that he was 20 for 26 with a 77% completion percentage against Notre Dame. It's the same team that he was 66% completion percentage for 279 yards against Florida. It's the same thing. The only inconsistent thing on this offense, and the only thing that worries me, is our receivers. People say, well, Fromm's under 50% for the last 4 games. Okay. He's also been without the one guy that he really trusts, which is Cager, which is the only veteran starter on the team. He knew that he'd be where he's supposed to be. He knew exactly that he could trust to put the ball where he needed to put the ball, because the other guys run inconsistent routes. They run their routes at different speeds at different times. He can't trust that they'll be in the right spot. That he can't trust that they'll actually get separation. And everybody looks and goes, well, that's Fromm's fault. I have watched tape of Jake Fromm sit in the pocket for 6 seconds waiting for somebody to come open. No quarterback is just going to sit in the pocket for his own health. Like, there's a reason that happens. A. B, it's amazing to watch the offensive line give him that much time. But, yeah, people say, well, Fromm. I'm like, yes, I get it. It comes back to the quarterback. But actually, like TJ touched on, this really comes down to the receivers, and if they decide to play their best. And with that said, in a press conference this past week, and you started to kind of see it in the Georgia Tech game. Dominic Blaylock and Fromm are starting to get that connection, but especially Tyler Simmons and him are starting to get that connection. If you know, I know it's Georgia Tech, and people are going to say, well, it was Georgia Tech, but just seeing the fact that they connect the way they were, and finding out after the game that Tyler Simmons took Fromm to the side and made sure and said, look, we need to make this connection. I've been waiting for Simmons to do that all year. It's like, you're an upperclassman. Like, you should have done this in the offseason. But, I mean, I think we're going to see a different offense. Now, we're not going to see LSU on Georgia's side, but I do believe people are going to see a different Georgia offense this weekend.
All right. Let me let Billy rebut, then we're going to go in the chat, and then we're going to give our final predictions.
Hold on.
Well, looking back to last year, I actually thought part of Georgia's problem in the championship game last year was Fromm was dealing, and they kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit and didn't let him keep going. Like I said, without Cager, I just don't know that there's a receiver on Georgia's roster that can consistently beat. LSU's got 2 really good corners outside, and the teams that have had success throwing on them have been finding ways to get guys matched up on safeties, guys get matched up on linebackers. Teams or Auburn, pulling some of Gus's high school stuff that just all throwing it up. That we've all, it's worked on everybody once or twice.
Exactly.
And on LSU a couple times, but it was never something they could do up and down the field consistently. To me, that's going to be the big thing. And I just, like I said, I think versus an offense like Georgia's, I think it's a better matchup for LSU's defense, because what LSU's defense does real well, which is, play inside out, they rally with numbers, and they isolate outside they can man up outside, and they can make you go somewhere else with the ball. That hasn't really been Georgia's MO this year. So, yeah, I think for them to have a lot of success throwing the ball, they're going to have to do some things differently than what they've done, either with guys outside making plays they haven't made this year, or with Georgia, throwing some different concepts out there.
All right. I'm going to go in the chat, and then we'll give our final thoughts. Where were we? That Georgia boy said that Saint shirts is triggering his hate. Oh, and you fix it now. Look, he's showing the S now. So yeah, Billy, you fix it. You can see the S now.
Yes. I want to bring up this topic. You like the Saints so much, but they don't never draft LSU people. They draft one person.
You're gonna trigger TJ with that one. You're gonna trigger TJ with that one.
Oh,
no, that's if you played for Ohio State, Sean Payton loves Ohio State guys. For
All right, that's why I hate the Saints even more. That's why I hate them. I
can't complain right now because it's working. But yep, for a long time that was. I used to always say, I don't care whether they draft LSU guys, just draft good guys. And last couple drafts has worked out.
Yeah.
Right. Pigskin Junkie said, when Swift gets in an outside zone heavy offense that utilizes their running backs in the pass game, look out. He'll be the first running back off the board in 2020. I don't think about it just like we talk about. Sometimes we run inside zone. I don't think we call it outside zone enough, Pigskin Junkie. And he said, ooh, yeah. He said, Sergeant, Harry and Cook are just as dangerous as Swift. Harry can keep the chains moving. Cook is a little undersized, but Swift is just special. He's just special. I trust Harry, but he ain't Swift. Swift is special. Harry is that guy that I wouldn't be surprised that end up getting free agent, and you will see him on a third running back on somebody's team. That's the kind of guy Brian Herrien is. I wouldn't be surprised to see that next year.
You know who he reminds me of, and I'll trigger y'all a little bit more. He reminds me of Pierre Thomas.
No, that's a good comparison because he can catch he catches the ball excellently out of the backfield. That's a very good comparison.
Yeah, that's a good one. An undrafted guy that just stuck around.
Yes,
player for
just straight ahead, keeps the chains moving, and excellent catching the ball out the backfield. That's what Brian Herrien is. That's a really good one, Billy.
I've heard Dave Meggett for him as a comparison.
Yeah,
I think that's a little lofty though. I think Meggett was a focal point of the offense. I'm
not saying I agree. I'm just saying I've heard that because he uses what I've heard as that 80s juke move.
Look, see, we're a little you guys, we're a little older than most of the people in our chat. They're like, who the heck is Dave Meggett? They're like, who is Dave Meggett? Yeah. They're over there Googling right now. Yes, people in the chat. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sure the people in our chat are 30 or under. So yeah. They're like, who? What is a Dave Meggett?
Hey, Coach, can I touch on the zone concept thing for a second?
Go ahead.
To touch on what Pigskin Junkie said, he's absolutely right. Out of all the plays that Georgia runs, inside zone read is their number one at a 20% share, but it's only successful 48.7% of the time. Their outside zone read is successful 53% of the time, but they only use it about 3.5% of the time. They've only used it 28 times this year. Now, when you talk about the yards per attempt, inside zone reads 5.67 yards per attempt. Outside zone read is 6.43. But we haven't even done it 30 times this year. That's so insane.
Baffling. It's so baffling. I don't get it either.
Swift is a different running back going outside. He's a completely different running back in space, and we don't put him in space.
And Andrew Thomas does a great job sealing the edge. Like we talk, I don't get it either, Eric. I don't understand why me and you talk about it every week on Twitter. I don't understand either why we don't go outside zone more. JF said he hates this trusting receivers thing. How did he magically only get one guy who transferred here this year? This is first. That's what it is, JF. It's not always on the receivers. Like I said last week, Jake just doesn't trust them as much. It's not always on the receivers. It's on Jake sometimes. He's just not sure. He's not sure how deep you're going to go. If you're going 6 yards, if you're going 8 yards, if he throws it inside, or you're going to be sure to cut inside. If you looked at some of these freshman receivers like Blaylock, he only throws him the ball when he's looking at him. He got that old Michael Vick. He doesn't anticipate. We know From will anticipate. He just doesn't trust these guys to do that.
He also lost 5 receivers. Like, he didn't know he was going to do that.
Yeah.
JJ Holloman was kicked out the team. Like, you're not prepared for that.
JJ, known that kid for years. But anyway, Sergeant said, look up From stats.
He messed with Stevenson too.
No, he's just a local kid, as well as Andrew Thomas is a local kid, and y'all be on the lookout for Andrew. Andrew Thomas has been good since he was 7 years old. I mean, he's been the best lineman, even at the parks around here. He was that guy. And look out for his little brother too. He got a little brother. If y'all didn't know, he's gonna be a monster too. Matter of fact, he has 2 little brothers.
Tyler Simmons is a local kid too.
Not local. Nobody's local from you. You live in the sticks.
Hey, I'm talking Powder Springs.
All right. He said, look up From stats from last year. Had a great game. Exactly. Don't think UGA's offense is going to crap their pants. If trusted receivers is the problem, why is Jake and receivers done nothing about it the entire year? Yeah, they're working on it, JF. Just hasn't come on. And that Georgia boy said TJ about to go in.
You talking about the Saints not drafting the LSU players?
Yeah, I know. When we said that, yeah, we already know his famous video with the TV when they drafted who we drafted, Debo.
What was funny, but no, the cherry was on top what TJ did last year. I know a few months ago when the Saints lost the NFC Championship game. He talking about, I know one thing though, that motorbike broke. But I can do that. I remember. It's
very personal, bro. It's very personal. When you don't draft LSU, it's very personal.
All right, you guys go ahead and start putting your predictions in the chat, and this is the last topic, and we'll touch on this, and you guys go ahead and give your predictions and wrap up with this as well. I personally think this is what's going to happen in the game. Like I said, I think Georgia has to keep it in the 20s. They have to keep it. They can't get down they have to keep the game where they're able to still run the ball and not just have to come out and pass. And I also think that LSU will be extra aggressive. Win or lose, LSU is going. I think LSU knows Georgia can't score with them. So I think LSU is going to come out and fire the ball down the field all game and just try to boat race Georgia, because win or lose, we're going. Let's go ahead and get them out of here. We're going to blow them out. And if not, so I think that'll be LSU's game plan. I think LSU is going to come out, like I say, in the first half, first quarter, throwing the ball down the field. Georgia has to get Burrow on the ground or get some turnovers and be able to run the ball. But I do see LSU winning the game, and I'm going to give it 30-21.
Who you getting the game to?
I'm going to give it to LSU.
Okay. Billy, you'll go.
Well, I agree that I think LSU is going to come out and be aggressive, because that's kind of been their MO all year. They like to start fast. They go with their tempo. They don't sub a lot on their opening drives. They like to move fast. They can move guys around. They can attack you a lot of different ways. And, part of what's made Joe Burrow so great this year is his decision making and not taking big risks. Early. He'll kind of he strikes that right balance between taking what defense gives him and taking his shots when they're there. And he's willing to check down to Clyde Edwards-Helaire when that's the best option. He'll throw it to Thad Moss, who's quietly been really, really good this year. And then he's got those top 3 receivers that I don't think there's a defense in the country that could take away all 3, and all 3 of them are good enough that whichever one's on, they can beat you with. So I think LSU wins this game. Really excited to see how some of these guys, both Georgia's defense and DeAndre Swift, and of course LSU's playmakers, play on that turf in Mercedes-Benz Stadium and see how that fast track plays for them, because both these teams play on grass, so they don't see artificial turf like this too much. And I think LSU wins it somewhere around 38-17, something like that. Little more than 2 scores, not necessarily a huge blowout. Georgia's at least that good, but I just don't think that. I think that this is a bad matchup for what these teams do well and what these teams don't do well and how they match up against each other.
I'm going to hold my thought. Okay.
I was about to say.
I'm going to hold my thought. All right. Eric, go ahead, man.
I think it's going to be a slow game. I think LSU's offensive aggressiveness can be used against them because, okay, say they do come out and want to pass all over the place. Okay, you score what in 3-4 plays, and then Georgia is going to run the ball. That's what we want to do. We want to possess the ball. We want to run the ball. So Georgia will be running the ball against the 28th rush defense in the nation. They've played better rushing defenses and beat them all year long. I see this being a possession game. Georgia's going to keep Joe Burrow off the field, and when he's on the field, even if they do go right down the field, okay, you're putting your defense right back on the field, so that plays right into our hands. We want to possess the ball anyway, so if you want to give it right back to us in 3 plays, that plays right into what we want to do. Now, do I believe that they're going to score like that all the time? No. I mean, there's a reason why Georgia's defense has only given up 12 touchdowns all year. So I see Georgia winning this 24-23 in a game that's probably going to give me a heart attack.
All right. TJ?
Bless his heart, Lord. Bless his heart, Lord. He knows not what he's saying. But here, when I put out my list of top SEC players to watch, right? There were some Georgia players I was very concerned about, and I just want to say this because you guys obviously know I think LSU is going to win. But here's the reason why. In August, I said Georgia has 3 offensive linemen I'm concerned about. I said they have the running back I'm obviously concerned about, and I said there's this transfer kid from Miami, and I said. And I said, George, I'm gonna introduce you guys to the guy. He's transferring from Miami. His kid. I said, this is gonna be the one. And he has proven to be. He's the one that I'm concerned about. Kager's the one that I'm concerned about going into this thing because of his height, because of his aggressiveness. Now, I have some issues with Fromm. Obviously I have some issues with Fromm, but Georgia's going to run the ball. We have to stop them from running the ball. Swift is the signature Georgia running back. Georgia puts another running back in the first round, continuing this tradition of great backs. I'm concerned about that. I'm not going to, put all the jokes aside. Those are the things that I feel if Georgia does Georgia really well, then this is going to be a problem. The last thing I want to say is I didn't want to play this SEC game. Right? Because if we don't play this SEC football game, Georgia is automatically in the playoffs. And I think that the SEC needs to look at this, man. Why are we shooting ourselves in the foot and allowing Clemson and Ohio State to go in playing lesser competition than what Georgia fought all year? So, I think really if there was a way to get out of this game, I would have liked to see us skip this SEC championship, which I know is a pipe dream, but I would love to have skipped this thing because it is my belief that we still would have played Georgia in the finals.
TJ, 2 things real quick. Well, I already know you know this. SEC championship game. Ching, ching, ching. I know you know that. And guess what? I'm about to make you real happy. Cager's out for the rest of the year.
He's out.
Yeah, Cager's out for the rest of the year. He had surgery on his ankle. Yeah, he had surgery on his ankle. He won't be playing. Even if we make it to the national championship, he won't be playing. So, I hate to make you happy like that, but yeah, Cager's out for the rest of the year.
He had such an amazing season all this year, man, and I was just very impressed with him. And I understand why he became Fromm's. Look, but I said going into this game, that's the best receiver. But I missed the fact that he was injured.
Yeah, he's out. So let me
I
read
was busy celebrating last week, man. I missed that.
All right,
so hold on, and I didn't even get my prediction in yet. So TJ got his prediction in. So my prediction, I'm just gonna be real short with it. I'm gonna say 23-20. I'm not gonna tell you what team.
Oh.
That's the score. That's the score.
Oh, shock job.
That's the score. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. if Georgia goes in playing great defense, they run the ball, they don't turn the ball over at all, and then the defense can get some turnovers, they win the game. Now if they have some mistakes here and there, and we're not running the ball effectively, we're not winning. So that's my take on it. So.
All right, let me read the scores from the chat real quick. I'm sorry, JF, I wasn't ignoring your comment about the outside zone. I hope that we've been saving it. There's been a lot of talk, JF, that we have plays that we're not saved, that we haven't used yet. Every offense does, though. That don't mean we're gonna use them now. I'm sure LSU has plays they haven't used yet. So.
We talked about that for a long time.
Yeah. I hate when teams say that. We have plays you haven't seen yet. Yeah, like every team in America does. When I coached 6U, I had plays that we practiced razzle dazzle that we never got a chance to run. What's that? The annexation of Puerto Rico? What is that? Little Giants or whatever.
My co-host over there looking like he in the I Ain't Mad at You Tupac video back in '96. But go ahead. You look like you in the clouds or something, man. Like you up in heaven.
What, my light or something?
Man, that's what you looking like right now, man. But
I'm angelic. All right. Sarge just said Georgia wins it in the fourth quarter, 27-24.
Come on, Sarge. Come on, man.
JF says 30-27 Georgia wins, and he know this take is biased. That Georgia DGB says the fan in him says UGA wins 38-20, but I guess his mind tells him LSU wins 34-20. And JF said that 38-17, yeah, Billy, they're not liking the 38-17. They don't think we're going to get beat that bad if we're going to lose.
If I really wanted to tick people off, I'd make a 28-3 joke. But...
Oh, really?
Okay, that's so played out. Okay.
All right, time to wrap up the show, definitely.
Look,
I didn't make it.
Yeah, but it took you 10 seconds to process that. The same type of time that it took Diggs to go sideline to, sideline touchdown. So.
The one thing that we all do agree on is win or lose, LSU and Ohio State are both getting in, right? Yeah.
Which I think that's going to be something that eventually gets the conference games thrown out, like TJ was saying, because eventually these teams that know they're in regardless, their coaches are going to start standing up and going, "Why am I risking injury to my guys in a game that means nothing?"
You guys stop. Money. I don't care what you say, money. They're not going to stop these conference championship games because they're cha-ching. So yes, I don't.
They don't have to. They're not going to stop it. They can forfeit. They can forfeit or just
say forfeit the conference championship game.
Hey,
but I feel you guys.
Hold on. I feel you guys. Hey, I feel you guys. I'm an SEC guy. I feel you guys. But the business side. It's money, it's sponsorship. The conferences aren't going to turn down this TV money. It's not going to happen.
Look. Here's my thing.
Coaches are going to stand up and start saying that they don't want to play him.
Oh yeah, certainly they are.
I haven't seen a conference championship. I haven't seen a conference championship game ever. I'm a Michigan fan. I don't know what that means.
That's pretty good. JF said he wondered if the Saints are still trying to go to court about the damn PI call. I had to read that one, Billy, because you got that 28-3, so I had to read that one. All right, you guys. So, okay. So, real quick, nobody thinks anybody's challenging Clemson, right? Clemson's gonna roll.
Bounce, roll, skate.
Billy, Clemson roll.
They were in the playoffs week 1. That's the most unfair. Like, not tiny, but man, like I'm not saying that Clemson ain't good, but like they were in as soon as the first game kicked off.
Come on.
I for some reason everybody keeps telling me I'm ridiculous. I for some reason I see the ACC championship game being a game. I don't know what it is. I mean, not like I trust in Virginia, but it's just something.
Virginia gonna put up a fight. Virginia's gonna put up a fight.
I'm feeling that. Okay, so what about Oklahoma, Baylor? Where everybody feeling there?
Baylor.
That's
Baylor. Last time.
Baylor and Utah and
Utah.
Oregon.
Utah. Utah's a legit team.
So
Everybody just sleeping on Utah. Like, nah. Utah. I'm look. You put Utah against Ohio State, Clemson. I bet you Utah will beat both of them.
So, Eric, you thinking Utah over Oregon?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we slip, you guys see Utah getting that 4th spot?
Yep.
Think that's what's gonna happen?
Because they won out.
Yeah. So Billy and TJ, that's what you guys see too.
If you go look at my Twitter page right now, you're gonna see I predicted it. With first week of September, I said Utah is gonna be there, and it's a formidable team. Nobody's watching them below the 38 parallel, but it's a formidable football team, man. Go check them out.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it'll be. I think if Oklahoma wins, it'll be interesting because I think we see this committee tends to favor those name brand teams, but Utah's definitely a heck of a team, and they're gonna be a tough out for whoever they play. They don't make it easy on anybody.
See, I agree with Billy. Like I would want to lean Utah, but I'm afraid that they would find some way to get the name team in there. Oklahoma hasn't missed a playoff yet. Now I know Alabama hasn't either, but Alabama kind of like 2 losses. You can't make that. You can't make that argument.
No, they're out of it.
I have a feeling
Alabama's not even. They're not even in the top 10 anymore.
Yeah,
like,
I mean
they not getting in. Yeah, I get what a lot of people are saying about Utah. That brand, and I'm talking about the school. It doesn't really sell as far as playoff, but Oklahoma, it's a prestige school. As far as football goes, they'll put them in before Utah. Because we already know the college football playoff committee it's very political. It's very political.
Definitely.
Ohio State, come on now. They really tried politicking Ohio State a couple of years ago because remember they got beat by Iowa. They got beat by Iowa in Iowa.
Blown out.
An unranked team. They weren't even nowhere near the top 25, and they tried to put them in there.
Clemson got beat by Syracuse in 2017, but now they're trying to say that we shouldn't get in because we lost to South Carolina this year.
Yeah.
Like, did you not see who we beat? And if we beat LSU, I'm sorry, that proves it right there. Like, Georgia has to prove their way in. So I don't understand the hate from Clemson fans other than the fact that they know they got to play us round 1.
Yeah. All right, and last thing, real quick. Is it over? Alabama unraveling, or Nick will be back?
I think Nick will be back, but I believe it's over.
Okay,
it's over.
What you think, Billy?
Nah, it's not over there. I'll believe it's over when he's retired.
Okay.
They'll still be good. They may not be win the title every year, but there's a big gulf between that and it's over.
Well, I think that was the question: is the dynasty over? And I think the dynasty is over because you got to think Tua's leaving because why risk anything else? Your health is what it is. Let's move on. Okay, so basically you got a new quarterback. You haven't had a championship now in 2 years. I believe it's going to be 3 years after next year. To me, the dynasty's over. Now they were going to compete. They're still Alabama, but I believe the dynasty's done.
What do you think, Don?
Bama. They done for now, but they gonna find a way to win again. If Saban's still there, he gonna find a way. It's just like the Patriots. Remember, they won their first 3, then they were silent for a while, and then they came back and they won 3 more. It's gonna be something similar.
All right. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Billy, once again, let the people know where they can find.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Let me take care of everything first, man.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm the engineer over here, man.
Yeah. Well, you do it then, because you know when the point. You go ahead.
Go ahead, Billy, man. Tell everybody who you are again and where they can find your work at, man.
All right. Billy Gomila and thevalleyShook.com on SB Nation. You can follow me on Twitter at ATVS_Chef Billy.
All right. Appreciate you. TJ,
LSU Dad, simply, man, on YouTube, Twitter. Monday through Friday, I do a little morning segment. Come hang out with me, talk live. But just simply TJ LSU Dad. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Hey, Eric.
At I20Eric on Twitter. You can see my articles on Georgia Sports Hospitality Media. That's pretty much it.
Yep. Okay. Oh, done. I'm sorry, real quick. TJ LSU dad, what's up with the blocks, man? What's up with the quick block button, man?
You know why I do that for real though? Is because when you block somebody and put them in a little file, like a little bucket, right? So when I need to come back and troll them, I got them all in one spot. I ain't got to go look for you. So if I block you, I got you all in one little basket.
So it's almost like the coach just saying,
"Hey, there's a method to it."
Or just write a list. You just write a list of people. Like you can create a list, a hit list.
I just thought that is my list. I just go down there and I'm blocking and say, "What was that you said? What's up? Talk it now. What's happening?"
So it's not,
man, look, this what TJ, this is what he gonna end up doing. He gonna have that meme of himself, have the little teacup, drinking the little teacup.
Coming. As long as you understand we coming. That's all Georgia need to understand. We coming for everything in your refrigerator. We want the toilet paper out of your house. We come and take your light bulbs. We want
hold on. Stop. You sound hold on. Stop. No. Stop. You sound like bro man from the fifth floor from Martin, man. That's what you sound like.
We coming, long as you understand we coming.
You sounded like bro man from the fifth floor off Martin, man.
We coming, bro. Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. Anytime, brothers.
All right, appreciate it, man.
And Eric as well. I'm sorry, Eric. Go ahead and
He already did that, man. He already did it. Yeah, he did it already. All right. So that concludes our show right there. Everybody, appreciate y'all for joining us in the chat. If you're watching this at a later time, thank you for tuning in. You already know you can check the audio out anytime on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify and on Google Play. We'll be back this Sunday, and we'll probably review the SEC Championship game sometime next week. Oh yeah, by the way, I will have a segment on tomorrow. Baltimore beat down SB Nation is going to join me. We're going to talk about defensive coordinator of the Ravens, Don Martindale. I think he'd be a good candidate for to be the next head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. If y'all new to the channel, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this content out with other Georgia college sports fanatics. And hit us up in the comment section. As always,
come holler
at your hometown sports podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight. All our guests, appreciate y'all joining us. And I'll be back tomorrow with the Don Martindale segment. Y'all have a great evening.
Tell them boys play time's up.